Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for joining us. I want also to address the thanks to the Helix Association and EURADA, and of course to the three panelists to make it possible to have an exchange of view this afternoon on, I believe, a relevant and more and more to the point topics. How to connect RDAs and higher education institutions. For me, it's two of the critical actors, both for an innovation strategy and of course for the triple helix concept. RDA, because often they design the strategy, and also because they are the implementation enabler for the region. For higher education institutions, for me, they are a knowledge producer, but also the gatekeeper to have the human capital in place in a region. And in a lot of regions, there are many industrial sectors where there is a recurrent need for more talented people in the regions. So we have to work on it in a more closer way. We have also to admit that until now, there are some disconnection between the two organizations because regional development agencies were concentrating on economic support measure, and the issue of human capital is often dealt by another department. So we have a few questions and challenges to face. The first one is how to enhance the privileged relationships between the two bodies. A second one, can regional development agency interfere to the design of the offer of lifelong learning in a region, and especially when it comes to economic development and innovation management? How to ensure then, when it's possible, that some staff of regional development agencies are sharing their experience in the education system? And last but not least, what are the barriers today for in-depth collaboration between the two type of organization? On top of that, we have to remember that innovation is now global, and the cycle of innovation becomes shorter and shorter. In parallel, knowledge is also more and more sophisticated and often need integration of 2 or 3 different types of technologies. So that's make a challenge more. Now it's time to check if I'm right, if there are already a step in that direction at the regional level. And for that, we had 3 panelists, each of them representing a certain type of region and different starting point of working with higher education institution. So we will start with Nathalie Boulanger, who works for the development agency of Centre Val de Loire. I must admit that I know better the castle tourism and also some agri-food products. But I know also that the region is more made of small and medium-sized enterprises. Then we will move to Jan Sienkiewicz from Bielsko-Biała. Sorry, Jan, a remote region in Poland, in the shadow of Katowice and Krakow. But for me, your agency has always been very dynamic, and I could even define it as a first taker of innovation in economic development. And I'm sure the project that you will talk about will show that. And last but not least, Xavier Villalta, and I have to thank Xavier, who was appointed in the last 48 hours to take the the floor today because Aurea had some other commitment. He is from Catalonia, so a leading European region in technology and in economic development. So let's start, Nathalie. We will keep the question for the end of the session, okay? Thank you.
Sorry. Do you see my presentation? Yeah. So good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Christian, for this introduction. Indeed, for us as policy makers and practitioners, this is a pivotal moment where we have to adapt our support to economic actors, not only because of the COVID-19 crisis, but also because we are in a key moment now to design our new policies to support economic development. So I'm Nathalie Boulanger, I work at DEVOP, the Economic Development Agency of Centre-Val de Loire, and I'm the head of the European Policy and Innovation Department. And I'm also responsible for designing and managing the Centre-Val de Loire Smart Specialization Strategy on behalf of the state and the region. Just to start, DEVOP was created to support the regional companies as well as the local authorities in their economic development strategies. Why? Because in France, the decentralization law give the leadership to the region, to the economic development, but also to the local municipalities too. As you can see in the map, the Centre-Val de Loire is a landlocked region and located in the center of France, 1 hour south of Paris. It is particularly famous for its Renaissance chateau, like Chambord, the one you can see in my background scene. Nevertheless, it is also recognized for its quality of life, and it is nonetheless an industrial region. Its economic fabric is mainly based on SMEs in sectors in low and medium technological intensity. Many of the companies are subcontractors and are part of larger supply chains. That's why we encounter several challenges we want to tackle. First, we need to strengthen the research and the regional innovation capacities. And above all, and in line with the issues addressed here, we have to reinforce the collaboration between the academic and the industrial worlds. Furthermore, to tackle the challenges of the industrial and ecological transitions, we have to adjust the human capital and the human resources to the need of the regional companies, and especially in our risk-free priorities. Precisely, these are some of the aims of our regional innovation strategy. I don't intend to go deeper into detail on the Centre-Val de Loire risk-free. Nevertheless, I would like to highlight two horizontal measures of our new risk-free, the 21-27 risk-free. The first one is dedicated to the attraction and the retention of talented people, executives, researchers, and students. And the second one is related to the adaptation of the regional population skills to the innovation approach. First, in addition to the entrepreneurial discovery process, the knowledge sharing and the capacity building are at the heart of this strategy. First, our aim is to build innovation capabilities by strengthening the role of higher education institutions in the regional partnerships. Firstly, we have to professionalize the members of the regional economic development network that support the companies in their innovative projects. and particularly in relation with the different transitions. The network of the economic developer in Centre-Val de Loire is a proximity network of almost 400 people. Its members belong to the regional, public and para-public organization in charge of economic development and innovation. They are responsible for supporting the regional SMEs in their innovation and development efforts. The Higher Education Institute could be more involved in the training course and especially both related to the topic for the different transition for the economic developer. Secondly, we need to better involve the Higher Education Institute in the coordination of the ecosystem and particularly in the risk-free priorities. We are therefore set up steering committees for our S3 priorities within which the Higher Education Institute are involved. First, by acting within these bodies as proposed, the development plans and the roadmap for the risk-free priorities, they will be able to be in contact, in direct contact with the entrepreneurs and their representatives in this field, and they will be able to better understand and the entrepreneur needs and notably in terms of skills and research. Acting like this, we hope to support Higher Education Institute in order to better align the activities to human capital development with the risk-free priorities and better contribute to the risk-free implementation. And in 2021, we also intend to design 2 new regional resource centers to foster the adoption of the industrial and ecological transition by our companies through the DevUp agency. Here again, we can build on the skills present in Higher Education Institute to create support services and curricula. For designing and implementing risk-free knowledge and the management of the regional ecosystem is critical. It is not specifically devoted in our case to the risk-free domains, but it is dedicated to the development of the whole regional economy. As we know, the governance of the risk-free should be based on a sound coordination. It means providing feedbacks to the strategic scale and ensuring a smooth steering of the global ecosystem. And this has been the role assigned to DevUp in Centre-Val de Loire. Indeed, the intermediary structure are fostering the cooperation between the quadruple actors and create trust between the authorities, the companies, and the other regional stakeholders. On one hand, they help to detect and collect information from the ground and feed the decisions of the policymakers. And on the other hand, they can operationally translate the risk-free and innovation concrete support. In our region, DevOps is a coordinator of the economic development ecosystem and acts as the orchestrator of the different resources needed by the entrepreneurs. The Higher Education Institution assists as one of these resource centers. One can say that generally the regional development agency contribute to improve the functionality of the regional ecosystem, to better define the role of the different actors and to enhance the coordination among them. Nevertheless, the role assigned to the development agency could slightly evolve in the coming years. We observe now that due to the COVID crisis and the need to accelerate the different transitions, the agency could be more involved as a resource center itself. For example, DevUp is requested to take the lead of the consortium that will constitute the regional European the European Digital Innovation Hub. The agency is also asked to build ex nihilo a new resource center dedicated to the support of the ecological transition in relation with the other regional actors in these topics. To conclude, in our regions, the schemes of cooperation between the Regional Development Agency and the higher education institutes are slightly changing. The latter are more involved at a strategic level in the public policy design, and particularly through the entrepreneurial discovery process. And the Regional Development Agency, for its part, is becoming a resource center and has to collaborate with the other resource centers on the similar operational level. And this paves the way for collaboration between both types of organization that need to be strengthened. So thank you very much.
Thank
for
you,
your
Nathalie.
attention. If you have any question, I will be delighted to answer them.
Maybe we take them at the end.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you. So can we now go to Bielsko-Biała and listen to Jan's presentation?
Yes, you see my presentation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad that I can share our vision of what we do already. If you talk about cooperation of the regional development agencies and with the higher educational institutions. How is it going? I cannot. Okay, slide is going. Just to give you a hint of what the region I'm representing, what we are talking about. As you see, and as Christian said at the beginning, we are in a remote region, very south of Poland, and close to big capitals of neighboring countries. But we are in the very south of very big and very competitive region of Upper Silesia, and because of that, we have to be in the first wave always to try to introduce something. And also, Bielsko-Biała is a city of used to be called the city of the 1,000 industries, and we are still very good in automotive and in ICT, in tourism, and we have in our region companies like General Electric, Fiat, ZF, Philips, Ellie Mae from USA precisely, and all of them are operating here. Bielsko-Biała is suffering from a proximity of the highly industrialized and R&D centers in Katowice, and we are facing the problems with depopulation. It used to be 185,000 now. Within maybe 10 years, we have decreased to 172,000. But this also has an advantage to having the big companies here, because the pre-COVID unemployment rate, as you see, was less than 1.7%. So everyone who wanted to work could find his place. Bielsko-Biała, because of that proximity of the high centers in Kraków and Katowice, highly specialized, has developed his own smart specialization, and we have done it in combining all the actors and collecting all the actors together, and we are playing like a facilitating role. If you see on that slide, on the left side, it's what we do as RDA. On the right side, it's what higher educational institutions are doing. And in the middle, what we are trying to do together. So as development agents, we are always at the beginning, at the front of the march, which is going somewhere. We try to find out new technologies. We try to find out new specializations. We try to find out to introduce into our region new techniques, new technologies. And I will be talking about 3 projects later on. And this we do with the close cooperation with our local university. Fortunately or unfortunately, we have only one about 5,000 students, so we are dealing very close to them. And this is because our agency is owned by the city of Bielsko-Biała, so we are somehow like devoted to like set up the ways, the new possible development scenario for the city. Everything has started 5 years ago with the project called In Focus, which was like a adaptation of the smart specialization strategy of the regional level into the level of the city. So we wanted to focus on the city specialties, specialization of the city characteristics, and we did that by combining all the regional regional or sub-regional actors, just to use the best of what we have got and to be competitive to the Upper Silesia region and try to fight all those bad things that happen to us, like depopulation, like talent drainage, and these kind of things. We wanted, and we have prepared a strategy for the city of Bielsko-Biała as a city of high economy for 2035, focus on the efficient use of sub-regional research and development potential. We focus on, and we prepared some project to facilitate that cooperation, because it was very clear to us that high-tech companies which were settled here making their own research and development were looking for the research possibilities everywhere instead of except Bielsko-Biała, and we have found that those possibilities are in our region, and we were like a facilitating agency. We also made like a platform for the future development, combining needs of the companies and possibilities or capacities of our university to predict the competence which will be needed in the future in accordance to the sectors we have in Bielsko-Biała, the sectors specializations, the production sectors we have, just to be prepared for that what it's going to come, Industry 4.0 changes and everything. And to show, just I would like to tell you that we have established a very nice company here in Poland, but here in Bielsko-Biała, but that company couldn't start production because there was lack of skilled engineers and automation engineers. Also, based on that development strategy, we have set up educational programs for our university, which is working directly for the companies which are settled here, and this is also related with the talent retention. Going to that big competition of moving to that big competition from the Upper Silesia region, we have started with the city of Bielsko-Biała, all the regional actors, and the agency also. It was one of the leading agency, the talent retention program, which is we were thinking about that program since many years because we saw it, what's going on. We are active member of EURADA. We see what's going on in different regions, and we also saw it here. So we have put into working committee the representatives of City of Bielsko-Biała, our agency, Technical University, Chamber of Commerce, and entrepreneurs to develop a working program connected to capacity building, to skill building, to education, program of talent retention here, and not only the retention of the talents from here, but also picking up or encouraging talents and people going into Bielsko-Biała, offering them places to live, places to work, professional careers development. And we are basing of that what Bielsko-Biała was used to, very well known as a very highly industrialized and very nice to live region. we are doing just everything to make it happen. We are setting up like cooperation or facilitating cooperation of between entrepreneurs and university. We are using all possible international programs. In that case, I wanted to show you that our cooperation with São Paulo in Brazil, we have started with the in the sector of ICT. And based on that, of course, it was not avoidable. We have decided that being in the first line of introduction of innovation and new technologies, of course, we have faced the problem, or we have seen the development, the possibilities in Industry 4.0 technologies. As our region is very well known, maybe 60% of the companies are ICT companies, and we have very well known and very highly developed companies here. So we've started 6 years ago with the Fab Lab, which is the creativity, innovation, social living lab centers for those who want to develop, to want to create something, to want to gain new possibilities, and also to show people the way how to develop, in which way to go. And now we are exchanging that Fab Lab into digital innovation hub, all together with regional actors from the Silesia region. So we are trying to make one big hub, and the way is to introduce technologies 4.0 into the changing environment, to the changing production processes, to develop or training courses for the people, for the young engineers, to show them the way, to give them the new competences. We do specialized workshops, and sometimes we are making a bit more than higher educational systems, because we are just like using the opportunity of internationalization of our contacts. And also following that, we have supporting schemes for young entrepreneurs and startups in the agency and in the University of Bielsko-Biała. So in general, this is more or less everything. We try to facilitate our regional cooperation. We try to show the ways we working on that to make our region more competitive. And I see that cooperation of development agencies with high education institutions and also cities and regions is very fruitful and very good and very expectable. Thank you.
So thank you, Jan, for this presentation. We will come back for questions after, and we move to Catalonia with Xavier. Axio, a well-established agency, as I mentioned in the introduction. Thank you, Xavier.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Natalie. Thank you, Jan. Thank you to the Triple Helix Association. I'm Xavier, sitting in for Aria Rodriguez, who's the manager of the innovation unit of Axio. So I'll try to go through very quickly through her presentation, which is mostly an introduction of what we do at the agency from the innovation point of view. We deal with competitiveness, of course, but nowadays innovation is what we consider the factor for competitiveness, the factor for the future, and that's what we have to consider, the innovation of the 21st century, the characteristic of the 21st century if we want to go ahead. We have several, let's say, policy frameworks that deal towards what we call the national agreement for the industry. We've been able to set up a certain agreement between all actors, which is, as you know, not always easy. And we have set up different sectors where we focus our strategic, our risk-free, our strategic options, taking into account what we already have in the region, which is a strong industrial region, going towards more and more innovation from the point of view of open innovation. A very diversified industry, one of the industrial regions of Europe, But if we take just industry, again, very diversified. And well, this would be our seven strategic areas of choose, but that feel exactly or many times or mostly with the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations and with the priorities of the European Union, of course. But in any case, these are days of surprises, and we've had the black swan of our time. We have the virus. We have some disruptive technologies going on that were there before the pandemic, and we have an exponential acceleration of certain technologies that is affecting traditional industries and non-traditional industries. We have also a human factor that more and more is at the center of our policies at the regional, at European level, at the world level. And excuse me, and we have activities like, for instance, the setting up of a platform of collaboration just from the 13th of March to the 14th of March to put together resources to combat the COVID-19 crisis. Okay, so with all this in mind, well, we really have we have big problems. Let's say it this way: we have big challenges. Okay, but at the same time, we have assets. We have assets that we can build on. We all have this type of assets. In our case, well, we're not that bad in terms of the rankings at the European level. We have a very innovative network of companies. We have good agency, an old traditional. Well, we have been working for many years. We have an ecosystem of innovation, which is based on technology, on universities, more than 200,000 students in our universities, a lot of people coming in to do their research, their final years of student. We also have a network of technological centers. So again, we are focusing on creating a digital innovation hub following the framework of the EU. And we are really focusing that our companies should follow and are beginning to follow circular economy models. So we have, let's say, assets behind all of that, okay? I could continue with some of our communities of innovation, our techno centers. As you see, this is all about a corporate venturing program, which is key nowadays for creating new startups. Our own network of offices around the world, our collaboration with the EEN, with the European Enterprise Network of Offices, etc., etc. So I will not tire you with all this information, but in any case, we have been able to create services. And if you look at our services, there is one thing that it's not exactly there as a service. We've been collaborating with everybody. We talk to industries, we talk to technological centers, we talk to universities, but do we have a specific plan for talent retention? Do we have a specific plan for arising and discovering of talent? Well, we don't yet. We are in the process of discovering. We're in the process of discovering because, again, we think that human factor that we have put at the center is not only the center, it's the resource, and it's the differential resource that we all may have. Coming from small regions, coming from big regions, coming from very innovative areas, or coming from more traditional areas. So everything is possible. And now, well, this is my team, not my team, our team. I'm part of it. But with that, I'll just give some more time for questions and answers. And I do myself have my own questions, so I'll be happy to join in with potential answers and many questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Xavier, and also Natalie and Jan. I've seen 2 or 3 questions coming on the screen, but before that, I want to stress 2 or 3 words that I have heard from your presentation. From Nathalie, we have to become a resource center. From Jan, we are a facilitator role and we need to prepare the future. And from Xavier, in all what he presents as innovation notes, is that assets is human capital the asset? As you said, well, we need a special plan today to discover the talent and to retain the talent. So we are just on a crossroad in the three speakers' presentation. The question I saw were more general. For instance, Jessica asked what innovative models is used to design policies. For instance, triple helix or other ones, and what are the expectations for the future to bring a transformative change. And another from Emanuela, who wants to see how RDA are facilitating private-public investment on it. So to the first question, and it was more or less related from the 3 presentation, currently the model to design an innovation policy is centered about the nice RIS3, S3, S3-4 tomorrow, so regional innovation strategy, which is mainly based in governance where all actors are coming together. So I don't know who wants to add something to either the question or the debate. Nathalie, do you want to say something about the way you have designed the strategy in Centre Val d'Oise?
Yes, maybe just to highlight some critical factor of success. The first one is maybe the alignment between the different strategies and the different policy instruments at the different level. For example, at the regional level, the economic development level is completely aligned with the RIS3. At the national level, the investment agreement between the region and the state is also aligned with the RIS3. And concerning the European funds, they are also aligned with the RIS3 through the ERDF operational program. Another critical factor in the involvement of the different actors of the quadruple helix actors through the entrepreneurial discovery process, but not only in the design of the RIS3, but also in its implementation and in its monitoring and evaluation. And that paves the way for a flexibility also in the RIS3 and the ability to make the strategy evolving and adapting the strategy to the evolution of the regional needs. Another thing that is maybe very important is to have an organization responsible for the management of the RIS3, but not just a one-stop shop, but maybe the capacity to act as a hub and a coordinator. And I think it is probably the role of the Regional Innovation Agency at the Regional Economic Development Agency to do that in close relation with the managing authorities. Maybe last success factors is the capacity to be flexible and pragmatic and to the ability to change the strategy according to the regional needs. And it is only possible if you involve the different actors and have the capacity to catch the different needs from the ground and have the ability to reach also the strategic level and say, yeah, we have to adapt somewhere our strategy.
Okay, thank you, Nathalie. Xavier, do you want to comment? I come back to you, Jan, after.
Yes, well, definitely RIS3 has been key to focus. Has been key to focus and to organize a little bit the many different actors that are out there, from higher education institutions to technological centers to companies to different levels of administration, to different ministries, etc., etc., etc. But I would add a very critical aspect, which is we are, as development agencies, in a very key position to hear from everybody, because it's not that clear that everybody talks to everybody. I mean, some companies talk to universities, some universities talk to companies, but certain departments, yes, others not. Some companies, yes, etc., etc. But the key position here is held by the regional development agencies and the city development agencies when they have certain capacity. So that's key for us. So listening and being able, as Natalie was saying, to be flexible and react to what's going on, because that gives you the sense of what really, I mean, you can have KPIs and you have to react to KPIs, but then talking and hearing and listening is key to have this cross-pollinization of knowledge that we need to go ahead. My worry is that I don't know if trying to structure that is going to be, first of all, easy, and second, effective. But that I leave the question here.
Okay, Jan?
You hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. This is exactly what I wanted. I mean, just following the previous speakers, I just wanted to tell, and I've seen it also on the chat, that this is very, just setting up the local strategy or regional strategy is very dependent of the circumstances of the environment you're living in. Of course, starting with the S3 or regional innovation strategy is also very nice. But we have done it here in our region exactly like this. We have taken the regional strategy and we have organized people like a bottom-up approach to find out what is the context we are wanted to develop, what we have, what are the capacity we have, what we want to have as a tangible effect on this, and be competitive and use all the regional and local resources we have had. That's why the role of the agency, especially in our case, we are not regional development agency. We only have the name of regional development agency because it used to be a region many years ago. And then after the administrative change, we are local agency of the city of Bielsko-Biała, but we are working on operating widely. That's why I wanted to tell you that this is our role, to focus on what we think is most important for the region, how to organize everything from the bottom and make it competitive and try to connect all the actors, city administration, entrepreneurs, startup scene, and of course education, which is like a core in that growing business of the local communities.
Thank you, Jan. If I may comment on that, and I see the discussion and with the models. I believe in model. We need a model and referential, but the question is often that the model will not bring result by itself. Otherwise, why would we be here for the moment? And why we need RDA? We just take a software, we put data, and we have the result. So I think what is really important is how you make your decision. And how can you resist on pressure of the so-called lobby group or politicians who wants to steer the direction or whatever. And there we come to how you can use global trends to your local assets. If you look to reports, everybody is speaking today from bio with pharma, bright future, artificial intelligence or whatever. But what does that mean concretely for your region? And the first question, have you the talent and the resource to work on in those sectors? if I remember well, I saw dozens of S3 strategy, and a lot of them have put biotechnology, for instance. But there is no chance for me for those regions, some of those regions, to get the benefit of bio. If they have a brilliant inventor, and if they are in a remote region without no venture capital, no business angels or whatever, and the wage of their country, they will go to Munich or Cambridge or whatever, just because they will have the better assets to do that, or to work and to bring their ideas on the market. And also what is, I believe, missing often in the model, how you implement it. Because on paper, there are a lot of strategy who make sense on paper, but when you have to come into the practicalities there, you have bottlenecks. Either it's in finance, either it's the support to entrepreneurs who is not there, or traditional measure where we go away from it. Some comments from your side. You are more in the practical than I am about this need to find the right implementation and decision-making system behind.
Maybe I can start. Yeah, sure. There is a huge difference between the theory and the practical implementation. Nevertheless, I think that depending on the region, we can rely on the different intermediaries. In the case of our region, we have a lot of intermediaries dealing with innovation, so they can be seen as resource center, and our role as the regional development agency is to act as coordinator and to find the good resource center. And if we don't have the resource center here in the region, to be able to reach the good resource center anywhere in Europe. And it is the reason why we are also involved in a lot of Interreg Europe program and European program, not only to benchmark, but also to have the good relationship and to have the good contact to be able to reach the good resource center. I will just give you an example concerning the digital transition. Here in our region, we have a really good asset in terms of intelligence, data intelligence for environment. And nevertheless, we need to work more closely with other regions, for example, through the Smart Territories S3 platform concerning the water management. So maybe the main challenge is not only to have to identify the different resource centers, but to have the capacity to act as intermediaries and a mediator between the different resource centers, and to adapt and to be able to translate the academic research assets into real concrete skills and directly adaptable to the SMEs.
Okay, Jan, you want to add something?
Yes, I just wanted, I will tell you just from my experience, it is the process of adaptation of local strategies. It's easier in the big centers when there are resources, there are money, there are influence, there's power, and in the small centers like ours, mostly it's like we would like to do many things, but there are no resources. There's not clear vision on what to focus. And the role of the agency is exactly like this, to show to the local actors the possible ways to go, to bring as much as possible of new ideas, new technologies, new possibilities, to show to the decision makers different ways, different things, different paths of development, and especially very important to the centers like we are. We try to show as much as possible of the developing world of the Europe to our regional decision makers, because they have to act properly. They have to see what's going on. They have to understand what is possible, and then we can talk about how is it possible on our local level to use resources, to use what you have in the most efficient way. Not to, as you said before, not to, okay, let's develop a fancy biotechnology settlement here or company here, but what for? If we haven't had since years any experience, why to do it? It's just waste of resources. We have to focus on what was always here, what we know, what we can develop, and what we really want. This is what I think. This is the role of the agency, to facilitate that. Different, very nice vision which may occur, but just to be as close as possible to the reality.
So, Xavier, do you share the point of view of Jan, where he say you are in a more luxury position than he is because you have a lot of things available, or too much is too much?
Too much is too many. Yeah, you're right. Yes. I think we are all in our positions. We all have our challenges. And it's not easy to manage when there is a plurality of initiatives out there. As you say, how you do it. And well, I think it's, if you have a good risk-free strategy, and if you listen to what's going on in the market and you can identify who can be the leader of the research you're trying to put together, that's very important, because sometimes it's going to be a big multinational that just landed years ago in your region and they act as tractors. Sometimes it's a little cluster that grow out of nowhere, and you all of a sudden realize that they are very active, they are very good, they are very well focused, and even if it's formed by small companies, they are really key to a key element for future. So, and again, there is one thing that we have to allow ourselves as public servants, as economic development agencies. We can also fail. And we cannot go to companies and say, well, it's good to fail because innovation means failure. The more you fail, the better you're going to be positioned for innovate. Well, we can also fail. We are economic development agencies. We do our bets. Sometimes we're mistaken. And well, we learn. We have to learn. That's the key point. We have to learn and go to a better strategy and go to a better resource, if you want to from your question, how you do it? Well, I'm going to do it at least better than before.
Okay, so I think the time is running out now. I believe we touch a very sensitive point, the issue of human capital, how to form, how to detect, and especially when we speak to innovation. Innovation is still coming from human capital, so we need really to embed it. Thank you very much, Nathalie, Jan, Xavier, and also the Triple Helix Association team to have offered us this opportunity this afternoon. I think it will be a topic for the next months and years, so maybe next year in another conference or a follow-up conference here at Triple Helix. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon, and thank you for the audience. And usually we say safe journey home, but you are already at home, so take care and stay safe. Goodbye.
Christian. Ciao.
Thank you.
Bye, Christian.
Hello.
Bye, thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.